You can be great at scheduling, tracking KPIs, and writing flawless project plans. But the moment you're expected to lead people, everything changes. Welcome to the Project Management Masterclass, the show where project leaders are made. This platform exists for one reason. Tools don't deliver projects, people do. That's why the Power Skills Academy was created, to help project professionals master the skills that actually move the needle. Emotional intelligence, communication, collaborative leadership, and strategic thinking. The skills that elevate your influence and make people want to follow your lead. If you ever thought, what am I missing? This is your answer. Visit www.developpowerskills.com. The link is in the description. Now, here's your host, Brittany Wilkins.
Hello, and welcome to Project Management Masterclass. I'm your host, Brittany. Today, I want to share a heartwarming message from a listener in Dallas, Texas. They wrote, "Thank you for your show. I'm in a new leadership position, and your episodes have been so helpful. As Project Management Masterclass celebrates its first anniversary this month, I've been reflecting on whether to continue the show. Messages like this remind me why I started and inspire me to keep going. So if you'd like to share your thoughts or stories how this podcast has impacted you, I love to hear from you. You can send me a message using the fan mail link in the show." Now, let's get into today's show, where I want to explore the fascinating journey of the PMBOK guide. PMBOK, if you never heard of it, stands for Project Management Body of Knowledge, which is the cornerstone of project management standards from the Project Management Institute, or PMI. So why today? Why this as a topic of discussion? Well, over the course of the last month, I spent some time reviewing and providing feedback and comments on the draft of the PMBOK 8th edition. A new standard is coming soon. There are some key changes around systems for value delivery, project life cycles, and principles. Enhancements to the PMBOK include key terms and definitions, including project management roles, descriptive coverage of project life cycles, expanded coverage of project management groups, and reimagine project management principles to be more practical and applicable. If you are a seasoned project manager, you're probably seeing the PMBOK evolved over the years. And if you're newer to the field, understanding its history will help you appreciate where we are today and where we're headed in the future. Let's rewind back to 1987, the early days. During the 80s, PMI released a white paper on the PMBOK. And it was not until the 90s the first edition of the PMBOK guide was born out of a need to standardize project management practices. And it was in 1996 when PMI published the first edition. Back then, the field was gaining momentum, but there was not a unified framework for managing projects. The first PMBOK guide laid out 5 process groups: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing, along with knowledge areas like the big 3, the triple constraints: scope, time, and cost. It was heavily process-driven, which worked well in traditional environments like construction and manufacturing. But at its core, it reflected the structured, sequential, and predictive methodologies we now associate with waterfall. But as we know, the project management landscape wasn't going to stay that way for long. By the time the 3rd edition it was released in 2004, project management had become a critical function in many industries. This edition introduced stakeholder management concepts and emphasized integration management, key skills for managing increasingly complex projects. It wasn't until 2007 where PMBOK Guide earned ANSI, ISO, and IEC accreditation. Then in 2013, the 5th edition marked a big shift by making stakeholder management its own knowledge area. This recognized how vital it was in engaging and aligning diverse groups, from team members to external clients. During this era of the PMBOK is when I was introduced to the standard. Never knew such a profession existed with standards until I found myself really completely overwhelmed transitioning from an advanced development process engineer contributing 2 projects to a project manager. I became the project manager for the General Motors Chevy Volt 2 project, where my company was awarded the contract to build the bent tube wire harness assembly. And no project was done like this before. And it was the first robotic system we were putting into one of our facilities in Mexico. So without a blueprint, without any standards, I could not replicate the process. And we didn't have really an official project management office I could really turn to for guidance. I was told these 3 motivational words: figure it out. And I lost count of how many times my boss said he was going to fire me if I didn't do a good job. So there I was, just a rookie project manager, having to still contribute to the project, developing the assembling line, but also being the project manager overseeing the entire project. If only ChatGPT or Copilot existed back then, would have helped my learning curve, would have really sped it up some. But up until I discovered PMBOK, I was really shooting from the hip. I had no idea of how to begin to put all this together and coordinate it. So really the 5th edition, it really helped to ground me in the concepts of project management, enabling me to take those methodologies and ITTOs, inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs. It enabled me to build that foundation of taking a project through the waterfall approach. And every project I've taken on has been a challenge, but having a framework and a way of leading makes the execution less intimidating. And the Chevy Volt project turned out to be successful. The guidance was a flawless launch and execution. While there were some imperfections, overall, for that being the first robotic sale to go in a manufacturing plant in our organization was a success overall. I learned so much and I've grown so much since, that experience, and I appreciate, going through that challenging project, because it really, like I stated before, helped me really to get into a rhythm of project management and really hone in and sharpen my organizational skills. So every project after that became a little bit easier, although different, but I had the framework. But then also too, it's really helped to really define my career as well as my niche of what makes Brittany special, what makes me stand out amongst my colleagues and peers. And every time a project came up, my name was always thrown in as one who should potentially lead it. So that felt good as a young rookie project manager, gaining the trust and gaining the confidence from some of my senior leaders. But if you're familiar with the 6th edition, You'll know it was a game changer. For the first time, Agile practices were included alongside traditional methods. Each knowledge area now addressed considerations for both waterfall and adaptive environments. This was PMI's way of acknowledging that project managers needed to handle hybrid approaches. I do believe the 6th edition was more digestible and easier to read. I still have the 5th edition, and I kid you not, it's like 500 pages, which can be overwhelming if you're just starting out. And while I learned a lot from the 5th edition, I found it to be a very dry read. And I was extremely happy to see the 6th edition condensed and more reader-friendly. So where are we today? We come to the latest edition. If you haven't read it yet, you're in for a surprise because it's almost unrecognizable compared to earlier versions. The 7th edition shifts from process-based guidelines to principle-based practices. So instead of focusing how to execute projects step by step, it emphasizes 12 core principles like leadership, collaboration, and tailoring your approach. It's less about following really a rigid structure and more about delivering value and outcomes. It also aligns well with Agile, Lean, and other adaptive methodologies. PMI even dropped the traditional knowledge areas and replaced them with a performance domain model. So why do the changes matter? Why does this evolution matter? Well, for one, I believe it reflects the realities of modern project management. Projects today are rarely linear. So whether you're managing a tech startup, launching a marketing campaign, or even planning a major event, adaptability is key. The PMBOK guide has kept pace with these changes, ensuring that project managers stay relevant. It's no longer enough to just follow processes. We have to think critically, engage stakeholders effectively, and tailor our approaches to fit our many unique environments. The 7th edition in particular positions project managers as value-driven discipline. Being a value-driven discipline. It's about outcomes, not just outputs. For example, delivering a product on time and on budget is great. But if it doesn't meet stakeholder needs, is the project truly successful? That's the kind of thinking the PMBOK now encourages. So I walked us through kind of that brief history of the PMBOK. And you're probably wondering, what's in it for you? What's the impact on you as a project manager? The shift from processes to principle means you have more freedom, but also more responsibility. You are expected to assess your project's unique needs and apply the right tools and techniques. You're also encouraged to embrace hybrid approaches, combining Agile and traditional methods as needed. For many of us, this can be exciting because it's a chance to be both creative and strategic. But it could also be a bit overwhelming, especially if you're used to a more prescriptive framework. I was familiar with Agile, but never really applied it to the projects I was leading as they were more manufacturing focused. So I always focused on that waterfall approach, that step by step. it wasn't until I started really collaborating with digital teams delivering software solutions for business units when I had to really embrace it. And it was a mindset shift. For example, I was used to running weekly meetings for an hour, sometimes twice a week for an hour. So I got used to that concept of this is how meetings need to be run. But then I had to adjust and get used to the rhythm of daily 15-minute stand-ups. And I would say, well, what are we going to accomplish in 15 minutes? So just things like that, it just was kind of hard to kind of break my mind out of that predictive cycle and approach. But I believe that's why continuous learning is so important, because it's human nature to learn something, master it, and stick with it. If it ain't broke, why fix it? But I think it's important for us to be in the know of our profession, as it's always evolving. The world is evolving. Even if we do not adopt many of the tools, techniques, principles, I think it's good to have these at our disposal in our tool bags. And PMI offers plenty of resources to help us adapt, from certifications like PMP. Now, once I started to embrace Agile a little bit more, I got my DASM certification through PMI as a means to teach myself the Agile way and how to be Agile, and to better understand how to work with our digital teams and how to take these two different approaches and utilize them for the particular product we were trying to create. Maybe I'll do an episode on the evolution of a project manager and the things we should have on our professional development roadmaps to keep our knowledge and our skills sharp. Question for you. What can we learn from the evolution of the PMBOK guide? Well, first, I think we can learn change is inevitable. The PMBOK has evolved because, again, as I stated, our world has evolved. Staying rigid in your practices is a surefire way to fall behind. Second, project manager is just no longer about processes. It's about the people first, the outcomes, and delivering value. That's why it's so important to develop our power skills like adaptability, leadership, and collaboration. Soon, I'm going to be launching some episodes on developing power skills for those who are premium subscribers to the show. Because I believe our power skills and sharpening our power skills give us the ability to be able to adapt to the unique environments that we are in. And finally, embracing change isn't just about survival, it's about thriving. The project managers who succeed are the ones who see change as an opportunity, not as a threat. And I know you may be wondering, in the midst of all the projects and all the day-to-day things that go into managing projects, how does one stay on top of the breast? Well, again, it's podcasts like these and others in the project management profession that I believe help with that, and being your go-to partner to listen to and also work at the same time, being able to multitask. So if today's episode inspired you to take a closer look at the PMBOK guide, I encourage you to dive into the 7th edition. Think about how its principles apply to your current projects and where you can improve. I've progressed on my PM journey from projects to programs, and I'm currently studying the standard for program management. which I will also share what I'm learning and how I'm applying it to real world applications in future episodes. Thank you for listening to Project Management Masterclass. If you found this episode insightful, send me a message. I love to hear your feedback and shout you out on the show. And I'll leave you with this quote: change isn't the enemy, it's the catalyst for growth. Until next time, happy managing and stay the course.
Thanks for listening to the Project Management Masterclass. If you're ready to lead at a higher level, explore the Power Skills Academy and start mastering the skills that drive real project success. Visit www.developpowerskills.com. The link is in the description. See you in the next episode.